warm welcome everybody to live coverage of round 10, the penultimate round of the season for the Club 100 iRacing Championship here at a classic Interlagos in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The GT3s out in force for the final time this season. It is a pivotal round in the story of this championship season with only 2 rounds to go. My name's Andrew Mather. Alongside me in the DDMM virtual comms box is Howard Mitchell. And Howard, this is when it gets interesting. We've had 9 competitive rounds across the course of this season so far. It started in the autumn of 2024. This is the last time we'll see the GT3 cars in action. We've seen them 4 times before this season at a number of classic circuits, Silverstone, Snetterton, and Monza as well. But this is when the attentions are going to start turning towards the championship and those championship prizes, those opportunities for the class winners in Premier, Club and Intermediate to get their hands on some free Club 100 in real life racing later on in the year.
Absolutely, mate. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Great to be with you all again. You summarised it really well, mate. Bit of business end of the season. Bit of a classic place for us to be for the business end of a season. Although I have to say, I'm going to show my age here. This is classic round 3 of a Formula 1 season for me here. But I like it at the end as well. And so too we do it here. This was am I right in thinking this was the final round for our very, very first season?
It was, yeah.
Of Club 100, Legends of Club 100 iRacing, as would have been called then. So it's always good to come back here. Great combination with the GT cars. You see that in iRacing, in virtual racing, and in the real world as well. So brilliant track combination. High stakes in those championships, as you say, mate. Last time we'll see these GT3s. Bit sad about that, but all good things must come to an end, I guess. But I'm sure before the checkered flag waves on the final race of this evening, we'll have been treated to a fantastic evening of racing.
Hopefully so. Let's have a look at those championship points and how they stand after 9 rounds. Now, remember, this is counting 8 best scores from 9. If it's a driver who's attended every single round this season, we have got a developing situation as well. With these drivers. Matt Kendall is now your official championship leader. He has attended every single round and has got 1,658 points. The job for Matt tonight, very simple. Do better in tonight's round than his worst GT3 round so far this season, which in his case was round 5, where he scored 189 points from a possible 240. Once everybody is finished tonight, they will drop their worst GT3 race night. So we're going to be keeping an eye on those worst scores so far. The big news, though, is effectively, unless he joins the lobby in the next 80 seconds, we are going to have a new champion. Kieran Harrison, who's not been with us for the last 3 rounds, but was dominant in the first 6, is currently not in the lobby. If he doesn't join the lobby tonight, which we don't think is going to happen, the max possible score that he could get by winning everything in the final round would still be less than Matt Kendall's current score. So we'll keep an eye on that situation, but it's going to decide itself in 55 seconds' time. Henry Mackenzie Friedman is up to 3rd place. Brilliant run 2 weeks ago in those terrible conditions in the MX-5s at Brands Hatch. Needs more performances like that, though, if he's going to win the title, but there is still a chance there on 1-3-4-1. Josh Mitchell is also a developing story tonight. He's not going to be able to race in the last 2 rounds because of work commitments, which is a real shame. He's not out of it in Clubman yet, but he's going to have to rely on other drivers not picking up points between now and the end of the season. And given some of the proximities of those Clubman drivers, that is a little bit unlikely. James de Havilland is there on 1-3-1-2, 12 points back from Josh Mitchell. Same story for James de Havilland as it is mentioned with Matt Kendall. Has been pretty much all the rounds. Just needs to go and beat his worst score in a GT3 race capacity from earlier in the season. Jack Eyre is still very much part of the mix in Clubman on 1-3-0-6. Sam Sanders is also still very much in the mix for Premier. Hasn't been to all of the rounds. Was going to use 2 of his drop scores with 0 scores. But if he keeps on the form that we've seen from Sanders from round 7 onwards, he's not out of the championship mix either at the moment. We're also going to be keeping an eye on intermediate, very close still in intermediate between Matthew Davis, Finley Brunton and Joao Castro, who's been really strong the last couple of rounds, including a class win last time out for a GT3 race night at Monza. And Rookie is still very much up for grabs. Just cash prizes, iRacing dollars on offer for the rookies, but Matthew Shawnee is currently your rookie class leader. But keep an eye on Harrison Chapman. Harrison Chapman, who has been the rookie class winner 4 times out of the last 5 rounds. He is looking for another good race night tonight to try and close that gap. We should also mention as well, we are very welcome to welcome back to the Club 100 iRacing scene David Whitehouse tonight, who's been out of action for a bit. Great to have him back once again. He's going to be in that intermediate class, having some good fun out there. But more on that later, because I do believe that lone qualifying has started. 10-minute session for everybody to get 2 flying laps in. The strict track limit rules are in place, so the laps have got to be clean, they've got to be precise. And for the 29 drivers that we've got here tonight, Howard, this could be a very pivotal point of the evening. This is a circuit, though, that if you do have a bad qualifying, you can overtake around.
You can indeed. You can indeed, mate. It's a great place for a dogfight, this circuit. And that's one of the reasons why I think it does make such a good place to come to, you know, towards the end of a season, right? Because it gives you these opportunities, which is exactly what drivers want towards the end of a championship season. So yeah, there is opportunity here, and we saw some amazing overtakes. I was going to say last time out, but over the last couple of rounds, I don't know about you, but the quality of some of the moves that we've seen had been absolutely fantastic. So yeah, more of that please this evening. I'm sure we'll get it.
And that's pretty much what I said to the drivers in drivers briefing early tonight, but more from a judicials point of view. Monza was cracking. It was very easy judicials on that after that round. So so more of that please. And as you say, there was some really, really good racing a few weeks ago when we last saw these GT3s. This is Yusuf bin Sahel on your screens. Not mathematically a championship contender in the intermediate class, but Yusuf has got the speed. We're going to get the bingo card out for DDMM commentary straight away. He's a disruptor. He's a big disruptor in that intermediate class. He's looking to mix things up. The curious situation now for Matt Kendall. Matt Kendall is now properly, I wouldn't say champion-elect, but it's his to lose in a way. He's got this very solid score of 1.658 on the board. His worst round, which effectively is already gone. A quick reminder on how the drop scores work. For anyone who does all 11 rounds, they drop their worst GT3 night, their worst MX5 night, and then their next worst night. So effectively at this stage, everyone's dropped their worst score from the 9 completed race nights has already gone. That's a 166 for Matt Kendall from round 2, which was an MX5 round. So that will definitely be dropped as things stand. Tonight he's trying to get rid of that 189 from round 5, which was a GT3 round. It was our 3rd GT3 round, which was at Spa, if my memory serves me correctly. But the curious thing is, Howard, he hasn't actually won a round this year. He's had lots of seconds and lots of 3rd places and lots of consistency. But such has been the performance of the likes of Kieran Harrison and Sam Sanders across the individual rounds that curiously right now, Kendall is still yet to be on the top step of the rostrum in one of these race nights.
Yeah, indeed, it is one of the bizarre things of this season, isn't it? But massively underlines his consistency. He's doing, this may be a cryptic reference to some, he's doing a Nottingham, Andrew.
He is doing a Nottingham VUKC.
Indeed. You know, king of consistency. With actually, I've sort of started to try and retire that term because Nottingham actually started winning in recent years.
I was going to say that's you really are showing your age with that one, Howard.
I know.
Nottingham have fallen away from the top, shall we say, in the VUKC in recent years.
I know. But they went and had it was a 24-hour victory, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, they did.
But anyway, I'm showing my age. You're absolutely right. As Finley Brunton goes to the line, where can he go? He can improve into the top 10 only, and I think that's all of his qualifying laps run. So that will be his best effort. Who is still out there on a lap? I think it's you mentioned him in the build-up, mate. I think it's only right and proper that we check in with Mr. David Whitehouse. Fantastic to see him back out on track this evening. Really looking forward to seeing how he does.
Yeah, indeed. David running in the Mind charity colours tonight. Something that we massively support here at DDMM, and it is very good indeed to see him back on the circuit. Hasn't started a flying lap yet. I think just trying to conserve tyres. It is very, very hot out there in terms of track temperatures for the GT3s tonight. I think it was at least 42 degrees at the start of the practice session and may even be rising. So it's an interesting strategy this from Whitehouse to just hold back on that formation lap, get a banker lap in, and then maybe go for a flyer on that second full pace lap. He's got the time to do it. 3 3/4 minutes to go in this session. Right now, though, Matt Kendall on top. And useful for Matt Kendall is that he's got some drivers in between him and Sam Sanders who are not championship contenders. Charlie Summers is not a championship contender. Simply hasn't been to enough rounds to be able to trouble the major scorers at the end of the season. Adam Brown in a similar situation there in third. So Sam Sanders at the moment has gone P4. Henry Mackenzie Friedman in P5. Steve Hicks out there tonight. Hasn't had much practice. So saying to me earlier that he thought he'd be lucky to be in the top 20 in qualifying. Well, right now he's P21. Trying to get ahead of the likes of Craig Brown and Sam Dimolo on this particular lap. Matthew Shawnee still out there. I can see on a lap time. His name slightly illuminated there in the 3:14 in 16th place, and at the moment has pole position in the rookie category. That's important for that battle between himself and Harrison Chapman. Chapman not too far behind, though, is currently P17. Intermediate situation, João Castro, as we saw at Monza, looking pretty good right now, is in the top 10 overall and is joined by points leader in that category, Matthew Davis. What is happening in the intermediate class, which is wide open now, really is wide open, with Josh Mitchell not able to do the last 2 rounds of the season. At the moment, Adam Brown is the pole sitter within class. Ollie Davis is in 6th. Sam Spinale, who returns tonight after a few rounds away, is P7. The first of those, actually no, to be fair, Ollie Davis is very much still in play for the Clubman prizes. James Verhoeven not looking too bad at the moment either, is in 8th. Steve Hicks coming.
Steve Hicks.
Yep, sorry, mate.
Sorry, yeah, across the line. It's all right, mate. I'd gone quiet on you. Across the line, can he get into the top 20? Answer is
no.
I don't think that was a counted lap, was it?
No, didn't improve from P21. Shows the competitive level of the field at 1.5 seconds, covers the top 20 out of 29. Tom Holland and David Whitehouse have not set eligible lap times, but I think that is
in fact, it's gone very quiet very quickly. This is the only live car on circuit, as it happens, and he's returning to the pit lane. So, well, everyone getting their qualifying times in. Andrew, we have had some dramas in recent rounds, haven't we, of people joining late or having rig issues, I think it was, or connection issues. Maybe struggling, but delighted to see that everyone's got themselves around the circuit, though not all of them have done so with a lap that is within track limits and thus has been counted, I'm afraid to say.
So, in terms of championship, Matt Kendall, that's a good start. Pole position.
Whee!
As Hicksy goes for some inventive lines. That's even more inventive than Kimi Räikkönen did a few years ago, that part of the circuit. I'm going to say it's unlikely that the championship is sealed tonight, but there is a mathematical scenario where that could occur. It's basically all down to Sam Sanders to see if he can keep his max possible ticking along at such a rate that it could still swing in the final round. But that's early advantage to
Mr. Kendall. And we'll be on...
Maybe I should go scenic. I'll go scenic.
Yes, there we go. That's banditry from one of the admin team there. But yes, qualifying is completed. Checker flag is out. Let's have a look at the grid for the first race of the evening. Great to have you with us here on the DDMM YouTube channel. And here's how they line up for race number 1. It'll be a 40-minute race. Everybody will have to do a fuel pit stop. Matt Kendall on pole position. Charlie Summers alongside on the front row. So it's a Premier lockout of that front row. Adam Brown, P3. Great qualifying there for the first of the Clubman drivers. Sam Sanders will join him alongside on that second row. Needs a good start. Cannot allow Matt Kendall to get too far down the road. Henry Mackenzie Friedman in that Lamborghini will start P5. We'll have Ollie Davis for company on the third row of the grid. A couple of Clubmans next. Sam Spinale and James de Havilland, who I'm sure at some point in their racing lives will have shared a row together back in their BUKC days. Good to see them there on row 4. First of the intermediates complete the top 10. Joao Castro and Matthew Davis are on row number 5, and Yusuf bin Sahel is looking to mix things up there from the 6th row of the grid. Jack Eyre, decent qualifying, looking to consolidate his position in the Clubman point stakes. He's still very much in with a shot of getting that free SP40 race day with CLUB100 later in the year if you can get a good result here tonight. Finley Brunton, another one of the big ones in intermediate, starts on row 7 and is joined by Andy Alston, Michael Weddle and Matthew Shawnee go from row 8. Brilliant qualifying there for Shawnee. He's out-qualified several more experienced drivers here tonight. So has Harrison Chapman. Chapman starts on row 9. He's joined by Dan Gamblin, Sam Dimolo and Craig Brown. They're on row 10 and completes the top 20. Steve Hicks and Tim Penny, plenty of experience there on row number 11, but they'll need to fight their way through the early stages of this one. Eric Mignon, good qualifying from Eric, third in rookie, is joined by James Fremont on row number 12. John Adey and Simon Delamere go from row 13. The grid is then completed by Matt Hale, the last of those to set an eligible lap time in P27. David Whitehouse on his return to CLUB100 iRacing races goes from P28. Tom Holland of Warwick University completes the 29-strong field.
So they line up then for the first of 2 races for us this evening. The format that we've become used to in our GT3 runnings this year. 40-minute race or 30 laps, whichever comes first of those is the official format there. 10-minute warm-up between I always find it funny it's called a warm-up. A 10-minute warm-up between the 2 races. Although, generally speaking, we've been finding that most people need a 10-minute cool down, quite frankly.
A comfort break.
Yes.
BMW M2 safety car heads through the last proper corner, at least in dry conditions, of this Interlagos circuit here in Brazil. Round 10 of the 2024-2025 CLUB100 iRacing Championship. Great to have you with us here tonight. Good evening to Stellone Campione Racing, looking for a win for Charlie Summers. Good evening to Dan Ashton as well, hello mate, who's joined us in the chat. Safety car will peel into pit lane. It'll be over to Matt Kendall, championship leader on a key night in this championship series. Can he get his first round win of the season? Can he extend his championship lead? Waiting for the go. It's a bit of a congested start, but we are under starters orders. We're away and racing here at Interlagos. Good start for Matt Kendall. Adam Brown's had a good start as well in the black and white Rethink Racing McLaren. Is up to P2. Rest of the field finding their way through the CNRS. Looking okay at the moment as they head towards... Oh, no, not good at all for Jack Eyre. Jack Eyre in the number 5 McLaren has had a problem coming off of turn 3 and finds himself all the way back in 29th place. Could not quite see what happened there to Jack Eyre, but that's our first bit of drama out on track this evening, Howard. That's one of the Clubman Championship contenders who's got a lot of work to do now.
Yeah, it became a bit of a theme for some people last round, didn't it, about having to have recovery drives. Unfortunately for Jack, that is now exactly what he is on. He's not fallen too far off the back of the pack, although there will be a question over how that McLaren is driving after the impact with the barrier. But yeah, we'll see if he comes round to the pit lane this time. We'll perhaps at the end of this first lap see how that came about. Matt Kendall, though, with a good start here, leads Adam Brown by about 3 or 4 car lengths already as they come up the hill out of Yuntao for the first time. Good start from Adam Brown, continuing impressive form there as one of our clubman runners in second place at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, had a really good qualifying at Monza and then had problems during the race. Oh, so it was all ahead of Jack here. There was a bit of a 3 wide moment. And then was that contact with João Castro. It's one of the intermediate runners. And, well, that is how Jack Ayres' race has proceeded so far. To see him down there in, well, now P28 has just got past David Whitehouse. Matt Kendall leading then. And I think this is a good position for Matt Kendall right now, because he's, in a strange way of how the drop scores are working, his closest championship rival, or shall I say his biggest threat in the championship, is there in 5th place. He'd be quite happy right now just to see Adam Brown and Charlie Summers tour around for the next 3 or 4 laps behind him.
Yeah, that'll do quite nicely for him. He's being kept honest in these early phases. Charlie Summers on board here, 3rd place, chasing Adam Brown, but the gap hasn't opened up so much in the first few kilometres of this one, Andrew, that they'll, you know, they're not about to start infighting between themselves. I think they'll have eyes on the prize here. So the question will be, can Matt Kendall put down pace that allows him to pull away? This circuit, another thing that's quite nice about it, I always think, mate, is the mixture of the high speed and the technical. You know, there's that real balance to the circuit, which means that different cars, you know, have different sectors that suit them, and also there is that opportunity to pull the gap back in. You know, it's a real driving challenge in that sense. Quite a short lap, all told, but provides a fantastic amount of variety that leads to good racing, and does make it difficult, I think, to sort of dominate and pull away on this circuit.
Yeah, particularly with those long straights, offering a slipstream to those behind. But Matt Kendall's had to deal with a lot of rearward pressure so far this season. Often his GT3 rounds have been typified by Kieran Harrison running away and then it being a battle for second place, which he's often won, that battle for second place. That's why he's leading this championship right now, with Kieran Harrison now out of contention. Bit further back, this is the fight for 12th place. Another one of those Rethink Racing McLarens in the centre of your screen there with the red details. That's Andy Alston in the 126. Has got Matthew Davis just ahead as we go on board with one of the title rivals in intermediate of Matthew Davis, Finlay Brunton. Finlay Brunton's had a little bit of an up and down last couple of rounds, but particularly about a month ago at Monza, he seemed to spend most of the evening having touring car races to an extent with Yusuf Bin Sahel, but both of them giving it to each other on that occasion. So Finlay needs a clean night here to really get his championship bid back on track.
Yeah, indeed, and they've got, I totally agree, he could do with regaining some of that momentum, couldn't he? There's also the fact that the driver sat 3rd in intermediate, João Gabriel Castro, in spite of that initial impact with Jack Ayres, is the highest placed of the intermediate runners at the moment in 8th place. I have to say, by the way, shockingly, I'm going to say it because it's so unusual. In fact, I won't say it right now because we've got side-by-side action here out of the centre S's. That's getting quite tight there between Matthew Davis and Andy Alston. And there could be an opportunity here for Finlay Brunton to buy into this battle as well. They hit the inside line, and this may be a change for position for 3rd in class, crucially between 2 of the championship rivals in the form of Matthew Davis and Finlay Brunton. Is there a touch there? It gets extremely close as they come up the hill, but it stays with Matthew Davis. Kudos to Andy Alston, by the way, who sort of got by in all of that. But nice little early bit of nipping at each other's heels there between Davis and Brunton.
Can you tell it's the end of the season, or getting to that stage of the season? That was a proper little bit of rubbing his racing between the 2 drivers who've been at the top of the table
in the intermediate point stakes from the very first round of the year at Silverstone. And a penny for the thoughts of Mike Weddle immediately behind us as well in the 117 McLaren, another one of the Rethink Racing entries. Steve Hicks making his way up through the field. Just saw him in the back of this shot in the number 4 Porsche. That's the all black Porsche with the red mandatory details, denoting that Hicks is a Premier driver. Has been very, very busy with work and life in the last 4 or 5 months or so. He's been doing lots of skidding round ice lakes. So I don't think he's quite used to the full grip conditions at the moment in the GT3s. How's Jack Eyre getting on, Howard? Did you see he's up to P23?
Indeed, the recovery drive continues. He is still the lowliest positioned clubman runner, but he is making moves up through the field with Matt Hale. He's coming up against up to a difficult battle though, which is this pack here. The likes of Tim Penny, Harrison Chapman and Dan Gamblin, they are all quite close together. So he'll have to weave his way through carefully, assuming he has that pace to overhaul them, although on balance we would expect him to do so, based on where he qualified. The thing I was going to say, Andrew, and I feel happy saying it simply because it's such a rarity in the championship, things settled down remarkably quickly in this race. There actually haven't been a lot of overtakes. The drivers have sort of immediately... It's one of the quickest settlings into a rhythm I've seen from any field of cars for a long time. They're all pushing hard, but it's interesting how, you know, we often talk about championship business end sort of ramping up the pressure, but in other ways it really reinforces the idea that you can't win it at the first turn, but you can lose it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think there's a couple of factors in play. One, the start of this circuit, that if you lose the toe, it's not the heaviest, or how do I put it? The toe factor isn't the biggest round here versus other places we've been to, like especially somewhere like a Daytona and other circuits with longer sections. But it's still there. I'm going to make a very weird analogy here. It's almost like a Wilton Mill, that if you lose the toe, you're going to struggle on your run up to Christmas corner, and you're going to run, well, you used to be able to struggle coming out of the final corner, and bits and bobs like that. You can easily start to see field spread if you fight too hard round this place, especially through the infield section. So yeah, whilst it's not the most slipstream heavy circuit, you've still got to consider that and keeping yourself part of the main pack. You can get distanced very quickly. So that's one factor that I'm thinking of right now. I think the other one for me, Howard, are these temperatures. Are drivers looking at these track temperatures and going, do you know what, I'm not going to push and try and gain 4 positions in this first third of the race, because if I cook my tyres, I'm then going to have real problems either later in the race or have to make an unscheduled change of the tyres at the pit stop. Everyone's going to have to come in for a pit stop, but the best case scenario would be that that's going to be a fuel only pit stop to get you through to the end of the race. If you've got to start changing tyres, you won't lose too much time changing tyres in the pits, as that's a key move. That's Sam Sanders down the inside of Henry Mackenzie Friedman. But as always with iRacing, when you put new tyres on, you've got to consider the loss of time, the delta that you have when you're on cold tyres.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Let's just see how this move for 4th place went. Well, it was a late move to the inside, but he made it work really nicely.
I tell you what, Jenson Button in 2009 would have been proud of that one. That was a proper move down the inside of Sam Sanders, knowing that he's got to get on with this, because look at that gap to the top 3. It's now getting up to about 2.5 seconds between Charlie Summers in 3rd and Sam Sanders in 4th. And Sam Sanders, who had a bit of a difficult time at Brands Hatch, hasn't got much margin for error. He's effectively used his drop scores in the first half of this season. This down the inside was a move by Sam Spinale to get through past Henry Mackenzie Friedman. That was for 5th place. And good move there from Sam Spinale. Good to see a driver who raced with Hertfordshire and Coventry in the BUKC back in the day. Very experienced driver, knows how to make a move. He showed it there with that one for 5th place.
Absolutely, bit of a costly sector, I suppose you'd say, for Henry Mackenzie Freeman. Essentially lost 2 positions in as many sort of major braking zones, if you like, but still very much in the hunt. But yeah, as you say, mate, I think crucial move there for Sam Sanders, and to be fair, Sam Spinell's got the pace to go with him, which early look here, they do seem to be pulling a little bit away. Then yeah, it could be interesting. We haven't looked in too much at the lead of the race, by the way. Leader's still being kept extremely honest here. Probably as close as the cars get here as they make that turn into turn 4. At the sort of start of the more technical part of the lap. But the top 3 here, they have actually come together a little bit closer over the last lap or so. So is this the point? You know, have people been nurturing tyres? And the likes of Adam Brown and Charlie Summers, maybe do they see that Sam Sanders has got by and go, well, let's go for it. I don't know, but the top 3 are closing up a little bit here. As you say, mate, tyre life is going to be a crucial one here in these temperatures.
Last time around, 1 minute 34.0 for Matt Kendall. That's about 6/10 off his best so far in this race. So yeah, maybe a little bit of tyre deg coming in there. 12.5 minutes gone of this one. Still probably about 8-9 minutes away from when drivers will come in for fuel. That's probably the main reason why we've not seen Jack Eyre in at the moment, as Charlie Summers is on the attack, trying to get through past Adam Brown, and has done it. Adam Brown not offering up too much defence there. I just wonder if Adam's thinking, you know what, let's switch these cars around, see if the Ferrari in the hands of Summers has got the necessary pace to find a way past the 67, and then work an opening for the 116. But that is a change for second place. Charlie Summers up another spot, and back up to where he started this one on the front row of the grid. This is a close moment. This is for 8th place. This is Castro and de Havilland, 2 championship contenders in their respective classes, going through the Cedar del Lago there, side by side. Yusuf bin Sahel not too far behind there as well in the sky blue and orange Ferrari, and João Castro likes to get the elbows out, takes that 8th place back. They are dropping back from Ollie Davis here, a gap of around 6 seconds behind João Castro. And this, we often talk about this in Club 100 sprints, don't we, mate? That sometimes when you are at the front of a pack and able to hold for a while, it can be the makings of your own downfall, because if you then lose that position, if you lose one position, you then lose 2, 3, 4, 5 as everybody comes through, and you've got to wait to get back online.
Very much so. There's a bit of a heart-in-the-mouth moment there for Finley Brunton, as rear end just stepped out on him a little bit there, as they were going through the Pico de Pato hairpin. So, yeah, you got to be careful. I mean, this is what we love to see. This is why everyone goes racing, right? To run in close quarters with each other. But it is awfully costly when there's 7 or 8 of you in a chain, and it got very close there in the middle of the lap. And Michael Weddle, very interested call this one, Andrew, considering he's at the back of that pack, has chosen to take to the pit lane perhaps a little earlier than one would otherwise plan.
I like this call. I think this could be a clever call from Mike Weddle. He's going to have to take care of himself over the next 5 or 6 laps. He will not have changed tyres there. We'll need to manage the extra weight of the fuel now on those tyres. So, but a short fuel stop to get in, get out of that traffic, and see if he can make a bit of an undercut work now with the strategies. Dropped to 26th place. There's got a bit of air to drive into now. Tom Holland will be the first car that he finds on his travels, about 3 seconds behind the 395. It's the fight for 14th place. Steve Hicks and Matthew Shawnee. Sam Dimolo in the bright yellow and pink BMW not too far behind.
Just to finish off the other bit of housekeeping, by the way, it was Dan Gamblin and James Fremont, your other pit callers there. So we had 3 all come in on the same lap, all making that early call.
Good stuff indeed. Now the question is, does anybody else from that group from 8th down to 13th decide to jump in the pits as well and cover that move off, or do they stay as one pack? I think they've all stayed out.
on this occasion. This is your top three: Kendall, Summers, Brown. Pace at the moment for them, either very low 134s or very high 133s. So they're holding that pace at the moment. What is Sam Sanders doing? Well, Sam Sanders has just gone and done a 134.3. So this is the thing with Interlagos. Again, it's not the most slipstream heavy of circuits, but if you can get in a bit of a pack like this, you can quite easily drop someone in the scenario that Sam Sanders finds himself now without having to do too much hard work.
Yeah, indeed. It's and it lends itself to sprint racing tactics in that sense so well. I'm still really, really impressed by this. For me, mate, this underpins how, even across this season, I know it's not the first season where we've used GT3s, but across this season, the standard of the driving has really, it just keeps on, I don't want to say improving, because that implies the wrong thing for me. It's matured. I feel like I'm watching a sort of higher tier of race, higher class of race that I was maybe watching at the start of the season. It's a bit hard to put my finger on. Not the most tangible description, but the way that everyone is playing, that everyone's playing things in a very savvy manner. You know, they're really thinking about it. They're picking their moves. We're seeing not that much in the way of sort of, you know, 50-50 moves at this point. People are really going for it. People are immediately settling back into a rhythm, and people are working together in packs as well, and playing the long game, as it were, for what is a longer format of race. Hard perhaps to summarise, but perhaps that gives a bit of an idea of how I'm perceiving this. I'm impressed by the field as a whole in that regard.
Absolutely. Just looking at what would the point situation be for the drivers right now. Well, if this trend was to continue, you know what, it'd be pretty close. It'd be pretty close for Matt Kendall to be into championship winning position. And the other thing that we've got to remember is that because Matt Kendall has been to every single round, he's looking pretty good for some tasty attendance bonus points at the end of the season. That is something that Sam Sanders has got to overcome with results between now and the middle of March. But Matt Kendall right now, in a way, he's just focusing on what he needs to do. He's starting to drop Summers and Brown now up towards to complete lap number 12. Is there going to be an attack here from Adam Brown? No, not on this occasion. Just holds himself there in third place. I wonder for Adam as well whether there's almost a little bit of thought on fuel saving here as well, because he's going to be getting a nice double toe at the moment, or maybe a toe and a half
yeah,
now.
Interesting. It's an interesting trade-off, isn't it? Because the tyres will wear a little bit more following somebody this closely. But yeah, you get the fuel efficiency from the draft. I think on balance that'll be the slightly more significant benefit. So yeah, it's interesting how Adam Brown didn't put up too much of a fight to Charlie Summers a few laps ago, isn't it? And how he didn't go on the attack there. And I guess that's what I mean, mate. I feel just generally, it's not that we've never seen these tactics at all throughout the field, but I just feel like a greater proportion of the field are thinking ahead in that way. And it could play out in quite an interesting tactical race later on. I keep on feeling like I have to keep flashing back to this battle, because they keep on getting really, really close as they enter into this mid-sector. In amongst this pack is your entire podium battle, frankly, within intermediates. And as you've noted already, the likes of James de Havilland himself, a significant player in Clubman class, and he's going for it now into Yonsao against João Gabriel Castro. They're going to be side by side up the hill. He opened the door nicely enough. How's this one going to play out as they come around to start finish? This is a circuit where you can keep your foot in it and battle all the way to turn one. It's a nose ahead for Castro at the moment. Does this give opportunity to those behind as well to mount an attack? We have seen plenty of times people go three wide into turn one here. It is going to be de Havilland, and look out for Andy Alston as well, looking for an opportunity round the outside of the second part of the centre S. He's going to pull alongside, and now it gets costly for Castro, because now he's right with the other classmates in intermediates as they head down towards turn number 4. Challenge from Yusuf bin Sahel for the intermediate lead. Whilst ahead of him, Castro tries to go round the outside. That's going to put him wide and leave him again under attack from his fellow intermediate runners. And all of this is allowing James de Havilland to get a bit of breathing space at the head of what has been a frenetic pack since pretty much the race started. Still Castro is having to fight this one. Alston out a little bit wide there.
Tremendous stuff there.
Castro's there. Yeah, it's still going. Castro trying to hang on around the outside. He'll have the inside line for the hairpin next at the right-hander. And still his fellow intermediate runners are swarming around waiting to see if the opportunity opens up. Through to the bottom of the hill now. And again, one lap on from where James de Havilland made the move. Castro is still fighting to try and cling on here for 9th place. But Andy Alston for the moment is ahead. But I would wager it could be different by the time they make it to turn 1.
That was one entire lap of Interlagos with side-by-side action involving João Castro, and it's going to have round 2 of it here as we go into the centre S. Castro on the inside, bin Sahel looking down the inside now, and oh, Castro's got off the rubbered in racing line. That's going to give the opportunity for Andy Alston to break away. James de Havilland has checked out and gone in all of this. Here is once again, though, your battle for the lead in intermediate, and involves 2 of the championship protagonists in this driver category. On board now with Matthew Davis, the leader at the moment in the points in intermediates. Castro was a little bit wide coming out of Desida del Lago that time around. Bin Sahel's going to be on the outside now for the next corner, which is a right-hander to the advantage of João Castro. Matthew Davis, I think, doing the quite sensible thing right now, Howard. Just holding off. As I say that, he goes down the inside of Yusuf bin Sahel to try and take that position. Bit of respite now for João Castro. He's able to break away whilst bin Sahel and Davis sort themselves out over 11th place. It was nearly 2 laps, nearly 2 full laps of Interlagos with side-by-side action, not a single car off the racing surface. Howard, that was superb.
Yeah, fantastic stuff, and that's exactly. I present that to the jury for what I mean when I say a mature kind of race. I was watching that, just enjoying the racing and not wondering. Oh, I thought that Castro was taking to the pit lane as a late call then, but he was just positioning his car to dissuade a move from Yusuf bin Sahel, and still they remain in the same order as they come into the centre S's. But yeah, what a brilliant bit of battling for 2 laps, and as you say, mate, everyone's still running. Brilliant stuff to see as Finley Brunton and Craig Brown have both taken to pit lane.
Now,
somewhat early hitters there, but interesting play from Finley Brunton.
Yeah, I don't think Finley's fully happy with his car at the moment, so maybe he's just decided to roll the dice in a way and perhaps put some new tyres on. Not fully clear to us in the box if that is the case or not. I've been keeping an eye on Michael Weddle's lap times, Howard, with this roll of the dice that he's taken to see if he can undercut this group that are on our screens right now. It may still work, but I think the chances are a bit long at the moment, because the problem for Weddle now, he's caught as bin Sahel goes down the inside of Castro. Has he taken too much speed through Yunsao? Oh, just a little bit 3 wide for a moment. Matthew Davis had a heart-in-mouth moment there, sticking his nose between Castro and bin Sahel, and this one's not done at all as they head towards the centre S once again. First, second, third in category. Into the pits comes Castro. This is going to be an important lap now for Davis and bin Sahel. They're going to fight, though, down into the centre S. Bin Sahel on the inside, which now becomes the outside for the second part. If he can keep his nose in alongside for Curva del Sol, he's going to have a chance here, and there's a touch. There's a touch, or it might have been a netcode moment there. Matthew Davis did very well indeed to control that slide in his Ferrari. Bin Sahel takes the lead in intermediate. in quite dramatic fashion.
Yeah, it all got a little bit touring cars there, didn't it? But it's fantastic to watch. But have they held each other up a bit? Will that give, you know, where does Castro emerge from the pit lane? I can see on timing he's in fairly clean air. Well, they've held each other up a little bit in that little battle. It was fairly short, but yeah, we'll have to see how that one plays out.
Just to come back to the Michael Weddle point, that the problem for Weddle in terms of how this strategy has played out. So as you say, Castro's come back out and is 3 seconds ahead of Weddle. That 3 seconds has been lost as Weddle's tried to, and has successfully, fought his way through the pack of Matt Hale, David Whitehouse, Tom Holland and others. So his pace has been good, but he's not been able to use it as he's had to overtake on track slightly slower drivers. Back with our top three, they have not pitted yet, but have done very nicely to grow a 5-second gap out to Sam Sanders in fourth. That's the trouble for Sam at the moment is, no offence to the likes of Spinell, Friedman and Ollie Davis, they haven't got the pace to sit right on the rear bumper of Sam Sanders, work with the same level of efficiency as we've seen from Kendall, Summers and Brown. And whilst ever that's the case, that 5-second gap between Adam Brown in third and Sam Sanders in fourth just continues to grow.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, going back to your point, isn't it, about how, you know, you can make it work really well as a grouping, as a pack around here, and as you say, this group just doesn't quite have that, as you say, and that's making it very difficult for Sanders. So, you know, it's 5 seconds gap now. As I'm loving the variation. I keep talking about sort of, oh, it's very mature, where everyone's got their thinking caps on. Very different approach to the pit stop, isn't it? It's quite a spread. No matter what happens now, a real spread in sort of pit strategies amongst the drivers. Had about a third of the field have pitted. And the other thing, of course, about Interlagos is you don't really know who's going to pit until the very last second, because everyone ducks to the pit entry anyway to enhance their lap time. But loving the spread of strategies at the moment. Very interesting, although it has to be said those in the top 10 pretty much all following the same idea at the moment.
They are indeed. Just continue to keep an eye on that region around Joao Castro and Michael Weddle, because that's going to be key now in intermediate. Well, Castro has not done a full flying lap yet since his pit stop. Now has 135.02 for Castro, 134.6 for Weddle. See, that's the thing. When Michael's in clear air, he's able to drop down into a mid 134, but he's had too many 135s and 136s in this middle part of the race, navigating his way through that traffic to make this one quite work at the moment. We saw David Whitehouse there going into pit lane. This is Finley Brunton. Finley Brunton's got the same problem. This is the pack that slowed Weddle down, that now Finley Brunton has got to work his way through. He's got past Tom Holland there quite nicely for 20th place, but whilst it's clean overtaking and good for us to watch here in the comms box, not particularly good right now for Brunton's race pace.
No, indeed, it's very questionable as to whether it's going to pay off for them, as Sam Sanders does elect to go into the pit lane this time around. So he pits from fourth place. First to blink in many ways of the top runners in this one.
Is indeed. I think Sam's got to do something here, because whilst he's still got a mathematical chance of winning the title, those chances are starting to just get a little bit slim now, with Matt Kendall up front and seemingly in full control of this race at the moment. I don't think there are any tyres there for Sam. Just a bit of fuel back out on circuit. Has rejoined just behind Steve Hicks in 11th place. Meanwhile, back at the front of the order. In a way, this has been the perfect race so far for Matt Kendall. leading it, and with a little bit of pressure from behind in the likes of Charlie Summers and Adam Brown, because they're two very quick drivers, but not two drivers who he's got to worry about in terms of championship.
Indeed, and in terms of tyre life as well, mate, so far winning it at the slowest speed possible, right? Not pulling out massive gaps, but he's able to keep them at bay, and as you say, he's sort of battling with the right people, if you like, as Charlie Summers from second place now decides to peel into the pit lane, the first of this top three to go for that move. And Sam Spinale does the same from the second pack within that top 10.
James de Havilland as well.
Oh yeah, quite a few actually. James de Havilland and Andy Alston, so we just ticked over about half the field having pitted. As you can see, Charlie Summers already pulling away. And I hadn't said it already, we hadn't mentioned it already this evening, Andrew, but it is quite a long and technical pit exit, right? That you don't practice nearly as much as the Senna S's that it sort of conforms to. It's exactly the same, right? Except for the fact that it's a lot thinner, that pit exit, compared to the track that the drivers are used to.
Indeed, I was about to see if Charlie Summers had gone for new tyres there, but I don't think he has, because he's still got about the same delta as back to Sam Sanders that he had before the pit stops. Here's Jack Hare, who of course had those early problems on lap 1. He will now have his car repaired. Everybody has one fast repair at their disposal per race. So Jack's done a good job there, I've got to say, of nursing what will not have been a 100% car through that first phase of the race, getting to the pit stop, getting the repairs effectively for free, because he had to pit anyway for fuel, and at least get himself back up to the top 15. We've got to remember that the grid positions are set in the second race by the results of the first, and that was nearly a bit of side-by-side action in the pit lane, as everybody who's not pitted yet now comes in for a bit of service. Kendall, Brown, Friedman, Ollie Davis, all in at the end of lap number 21. And away goes Matt Kendall. Adam Brown, now that's hold. That's being held. Has Adam Brown sped in pit lane? Because this is a very, very long hold for Adam Brown. It could be a tyre change as well in sim, but just my commentator senses are telling me here, Howard, that the reason why we saw side-by-side on pit entry there between Kendall and Adam Brown is that maybe Adam Brown was going a little bit too quickly.
Yeah, this doesn't look quite right, does it? It got very close, as you say. In fact, can we have a look? Oh no, that was a bit too. That was a little bit too late there on that one. But we saw it very. And now he gets going. But yeah, that was. We got very close between them on pit entry, and yeah, I agree with you, mate. I think he struggled to get that one stopped in time for the crucial pit entry line. And
he's lost, I think, about 40 seconds in all of that. That is a costly moment for Adam Brown. That was too long, surely, for it to be tyres only. And when you've only got 6 minutes of the race to go, it'd be an interesting call to change the tyres at that point. And it's doubly upsetting for Adam Brown, because now, well, he was looking at at least a second row start for race number 2. He's now going to be mixed in amongst it, down in the high teens. Charlie Summers is back up to second place. And I was going to say that Sam Sanders will have benefited from that, but he hasn't. Sam Sanders is down to 6th place now. So Sam Sanders has not had a good outlap and has been... it's the overcuts that's worked in this one, and Sanders has now got not a long amount of time to find himself away past Ollie Davis, Sam Spinale and Henry Mackenzie Friedman. That call to come in one lap earlier has not benefited Sam Sanders at all.
Yeah, and we've already mentioned a couple of times, haven't we, about how, staying in a pack seems to be helping drivers out tonight. I wonder if that's why the overcut works, because see, there's no tyre change. Nobody I've seen pitting has gone for fresh tyres. So, yeah, it's very odd. Usually you think in terms of like getting held up, in inverted commas, in traffic. But yeah, it does seem to have gone the way of those who stuck together in a pack for as long as they possibly could.
It's going to be a frustrating moment, this, for Sam, because I'm starting to feel almost a little bit of a similarity to what we saw 2 weeks ago at Brands Hatch, where, yes, we're talking individual races. Yes, we've got another race to go here tonight, but at the moment, this is going to be a 30-point loss for Sam Sanders versus Matt Kendall. It's just starting to feel to me, Howard, as if this is starting to go as a championship closer and closer to Matt Kendall, and he fully deserves it because he's led this race brilliantly. This is the battle for 10th place between Joao Castro and Michael Weddle. So Michael Weddle has caught up to the back of Castro. This was the driver he was trying to get by when going for the very, very early undercut strategy, and then got held up by additional traffic on the way. Switch to the inside there by Michael Weddle. That's a spectacular one. Can he get it stopped for the second part of the Senna S? Castro's going to come back round the outside and retake the position, but that was a really, really dramatic moment and a good attempt by Michael Weddle to do the switchback on the youngster in the 210. Yusuf bin Sahel might have a go now down into Desida del Lago, and does so. Good stop on the brakes there from Yusuf bin Sahel, and in the end, Michael Weddle, instead of gaining one position, loses it instead.
I wondered if the pit stops would break up the pack, but no, they're the gift that keeps on giving in this race. They're all very certain of the dimensions of their cars' noses, aren't they? Flipping heck, it gets close as they pull out of the slipstream in this pack. But yeah, really good exchange as well. Castro still at the head of this pack, but crucially now, Andrew, 2.4 seconds down the road from your intermediate leader in the form of Matthew Davis. So that's a gap that's opened up. Davis has clearly had a good run through those pit stops. He now leads the class and has a couple of seconds in hand over the battling pack behind. And
crucially, Davis has 5 positions in this race over his closest title rival in class, Findlay Brunton. That would translate to 15 points. Now, we should remember, of course, that a good result in race 1 isn't fully worth anything until you've converted the points in race 2. I.e., if you have a really good first race, but then completely bin it in the second and 0 score, the likelihood is that you hold that's what we're talking about in terms of the race night being the dropped score. This work from Matthew Davis will only really count if he goes out there and does a similar kind of performance in the second race. Then we're really starting to talk about Matthew Davis being in prime position to win the intermediate category. I doubt he's going to be able to win it tonight, because there's always a chance that an intermediate could go and win all races in the MX-5s at Donington Park. We're racing at Donington Park with the new weather system in the middle of March. Who knows what could happen with the weather when we go to that one in a couple of weeks' time. But it's been a very good run for both of the CBR entries. Here's the other one on our screens in the white car with the red and blue details. Ollie Davis. I tell you what, Ollie Davis is playing himself into the picture in Clubman as well. This is going to be a useful score. He's already, if he can hold this 5th place, he's already equaling the points tally of his worst GT3 race night so far this season, which was Spa.
Yeah, indeed. White flag waved. So we are on the last lap at the moment, but this battle continues to rage on, going 3 wide now into turn 1. That's going to be difficult for Weddle on the outside. He's going to be on all sorts of grit and rubber on the outside there, but still there's contact.
Contact between Yusuf bin Sahel and Joao Castro. Joao Castro did get a big kick of oversteer coming out of the second corner, but he will argue that he still had the right to turn number 3. Michael Weddle's got through in all of this, and Yusuf bin Sahel's round. Steve Hicks is round. Through will go Findlay Brunton. Through will go Jack Eyre. These are key moments in terms of championship points. Drivers who aren't part of championship battles losing out there in the shape of Hicks and bin Sahel
But Finley Brunton will look at that situation and go, thank you very much, guys. You've just given me 2 more positions and 6 more points. Mighty drive here from Matt Kendall. If he's going to win this championship, he's going to try and do it in style. He's going to win race 1 and move himself a little bit closer to becoming the new Club 100 iRacing champion. Charlie Summers comes across the line, P2. Henry Mackenzie Friedman's going to be P3. 4th for Sam Spinale. Nice result there for Sam Spinale on his return to this championship. Top clubman over the line. Ollie Davis, that's a useful set of points in 5th. Sam Sanders 6th. He's lost a big number of points there to Matt Kendall. Matthew Davis across the line will extend his championship lead in the live scores there with that 9th place. Joao Castro was the centre of things for a lot of that 40-minute run. Is 2nd in class. Finley Brunton snatches 3rd in intermediate in that race, right on the line. Adam Brown will be mighty peeved, I think, to be P18. He deserved a lot more than P18 in that one. Your top rookie as well, we should note, Howard. Matthew Shawnee, that's a return to form in P14. And good to see David Whitehouse over the line there. First race back in the championship for a while. First this season, in fact, finishes P23.
Yeah, indeed. I feel a little bit bad, mate. I don't feel we really saw too much of Matthew Shawnee, but drove a good race and another good result. Really high as well in the overall position there, 14th place. I think he was one of the beneficiaries of the ruckus that we had on the final lap.
In fact, that's his best GT3 finish of the season. His previous best was P16 in the first race at Monza, so that's a tremendous run for Matthew Shawnee, who again got to go out in race 2 and do it once more, because that's when you really bank the points in with this scoring system. But Matthew Shawnee's rookie title bid may well be back on track. Let's have a little look, if we can, at the provisional results for race number 1. This, of course, is subject to any protests and post-race investigations from the stewards. But Matt Kendall, I think we can be pretty certain, has won that one. No trouble, lights to flag victory. The championship leader has 120 championship points for this race night already in, and has an opportunity to get a perfect 240 if he can repeat that same performance in race number 2. Charlie Summers 2nd. Very good run there for Charlie Summers. Henry Mackenzie Friedman gets 3rd. Sam Spinale's first of the clubman's home in 4th. Ollie Davis completes the top 5. Sam Sanders will not be happy with that P6. That is going to convert to a point loss of 30s. That's a 90-point score for Sam Sanders. And remember, because of his non-attendance for rounds 1, 2 and 4, if I've got my memory correct, 1, 3 and 4. Either way, every single race result does count for Sam Sanders. So that is a missed opportunity there in terms of the championship. James de Havilland, solid score there, P7. Andy Alston, P8. Matthew Davis, first of the intermediates home. Big result that. Had to fight for that one to get past the likes of Castro and Binter Hale, and he's put points over his closest rival, Finley Brunton, in that one. Has got to go and do the same again, though, in race number 2, you feel. Michael Weddle, good strategy there. Got P10 out of that in the end. Joao Castro, Finley Brunton, Jack Eyre, Matthew Shawnee and Sam Dimolo all in the top 15. Steve Hicks and Yusuf Binter Hale could have been in that top 10, but at the end finished P16 and 17. Adam Brown on race pace definitely should have been in that top 10, if not that top 3. We think it was a speeding in the pit lane penalty. Lost 40 seconds at the pit stop. Finishes down in P18. But ahead of Tim Penny and Harrison Chapman. Not a rookie class win in that race for Harrison Chapman, but still a useful score of points. Things to think about for the likes of Dan Gamblin, John Adey, P21, P22. David Whitehouse, good drive there. Solid drive on his return. Comes home ahead of Craig Brown, Eric Mignon, Matt Hale, James Fremont, Tom Holland and Simon Delamere. All drivers, Howard, in that race finished on the lead lap. I think that is testament, is it not, to the driving quality and standards of this field at the latter end of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I almost don't want to keep... I'm going to sound cliche if I keep saying it, but yeah, it underpins just how strong that average standard is in this in this field. Really impressed with that race. Really, you know, in all seriousness, how many unforced errors did we see of drivers who were running in clean air? Right, it was always when drivers were right on the limit, pushing each other, pushing the cars. And yes, when you're running so closely lap after lap, it happens. But even when those things were happening, you know, we were seeing drivers, yes, have little wobbles and moments, but they weren't dropping all the way back, generally speaking. You know, there was no big one in that race that I can. It's all really of a high caliber this evening. Yeah, I think we've seen some really good growth over the GT3 rounds of this season.
Has indeed. We'll take a short break on the comms. We've got about 6 minutes before gridding up for the next race. Keep it locked here on the DDMM YouTube channel for more of the same. Race 2 coming up. Green flag about to be in the air. There it is. Eyes on those lights. They're coming on. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights. The KZ third heat is go. Good start for Albanese. He's going to hold the lead into turn 1 ahead of Gustafsson. The rest of the field filing through. Good start down into turn 2 and turn 3. The race result because of Mottram's penalty, but Daniel Munro has had this titanic duel with Rory O'Regan this year. It wasn't Rory's day, but it is Daniel Munro's day. Daniel Munro wins at Rye House and is champion for the 2nd year in a row in a Club 100 Juniors category. Yeah, and always going to switch back here to the inside. That's a beautiful move by Reed on the inside through Park. Showed a bit of a dummy there to Carl Garnett. Brave stuff from the championship leader. That's him up to 3rd before. As there is Hugo Schwarzer out of the race. Well, we were talking about Slater needing to outscore Schwarzer by 10 points. As Charlie Hart's off and into the grass, catches it up and somehow keeps himself in 2nd place and pointing in the right direction. Fernandez has lost a position. I think it's Seaworthy who's come through into 2nd place. What a moment. Push on these tyres. We've seen it throughout the weekend that the Maxxis compound really rewards a driver, but he's going to have to take a lot of energy out of himself and the kart as we look at a replay here of Martinez and Leisen side by side into turn 1. Wow. Really close there. Bit of contact between the two of them. And Martinez up on the curb. This is another replay. This time it's Craigie versus Martinez into the same portion of the circuit. There you see Martinez trying to go around the outside, gets off the rubbered in part of track, and that's where he loses out to Jack Eiler. It was right on the limit of adhesion for Schaufler. On the brakes down the inside, comes Dries van Langendonk, immediately retakes the lead at the next opportunity. Into turn 1, Menz is going to go down the inside. Big move from the Briton for Ricky Flynn Motorsport, and it's worked. Costoya goes through as well. Arias is now challenging Schaufler. It's all gone wrong for the Austrian. 3 laps to go, 2.5 laps to go. This is Dries van Langendonk's best opportunity now. He's got to go hard and break away from the rest of them, leave them fighting for 2nd place. Oh, it's down the inside, contact, and Lettimaki spins, and Schaufler retires, both of them out, no points at all for the championship leader. Lettimaki is absolutely furious. That is the risk. 2 championship rivals side by side. Ovenden's got past Nicky Taylor, and now the sight that Alex Solly did not want to see this weekend. It started as an absolute disaster for Tom Ovenden, retiring on lap 1 of race 1. Now he finds himself side by side with Alex Solly heading towards Copse Corner. Harry Hickton's trying to make an overtake as well on Jack Byrne there, and I think he's pulled it off through Copse Corner. Side by side once again between Solly and Ovenden. Ovenden takes a hop across the curve. Moved by Buckley on Mackie. I think they're resigned to fighting for the last spot on the podium. Can Benjamin Maniac get another home victory? He looks the inside, and there's the near contact there. Through goes Benjamin Maniac. What a move through turn 4. By side, they're wheel banging through turn 12. It's still not done. 1 more corner to go. Pradir down the inside. Has he carried too much speed? He's got the control. Thomas Pradir's going to take it on the line, but here comes Maniac. Maniac on the line, and he takes it. Benjamin Maniac wins it with a classic at Swearer by 0.015. It's a home victory for the Spaniard, and he takes the lead in the championship. What a finish.
It's not bad for either of them to the inside. Pritchard Williams, that's going to bring Hunter back into play. Connington back into play. Higgins, Lilly, McQueen, Bishop, Geraghty, Graham, Joshua Graham's back in this as well. That's down into Ashby. Teddy Pritchard Williams is trying to hold them all up. Surely this is going to come to blows for someone. 3 wide. McQueen round the outside takes 4th place. That is experience. This is why he's been race winner in this race so many times, 3 times before. Can he find a way through? Back in comes Gilbert as well. Over the curb again, jumping over that curb. Huge amounts of it taken by Guy Cunnington. There's going to be 3 more laps of this one, ladies and gentlemen, and we still don't know. We haven't a clue who's going to be Open Champion for 2024. Hunter to the outside!
Oh, no!
And goes across the grass. Pritchard Williams spins out, and it's gone because Macaulay Bishop, the winner of the junior race last year, with 2 laps to go, Hunter is out. That is
out.
it. The run for the last 2 years will not continue to 3, and it's 1, 2, 3 clear of the field. Gilbert defends the outside. Bishop around the outside. That is outrageous.
Me.
The junior champion from last year has done thousands of overtakes around Wilton Mill over the years. That may well be the best one he's ever done. Welcome back, everybody, to live coverage of round 10, not round 9. Round 10 of the Club 100 iRacing Championship. Big race coming up, second race of the evening, and an opportunity for championship leader Matt Kendall to finally break his duck of being the bridesmaid, never the bride. 1 race won, and if he wins this one, will be winner of the round. And depending on how Sam Sanders does in this race and others, could provisionally be champion. The grid, of course, is the same as the final race result from race number 1. So if you're just joining us, we'll have a very, very quick run through of that grid whilst drivers are hopping into the lobby. Matt Kendall will start on pole. Charlie Summers, same place as he started the first race, alongside on that front row of the grid. Henry Mackenzie Friedman and Sam Spinell are on row 2. Ollie Davis and Sam Sanders row 3. This is a big race for Sam Sanders if he is to keep the championship bid alive going to Donington Park in a few weeks' time. James de Havilland and Danny Elston, they're on row number 4. Matthew Davis and Michael Weddle complete the top 10 on row 5. Really good fight from Joao Castro in the first race. Goes from row 6 in this one. It has Finley Brunton for company on that one. Jack Hare had a spin on lap 1 of race 1, went all the way down to P29, fought back to P13, goes from row 7 in this one. Matthew Shawnee, the rookie leader, alongside him for that one. Sam Dimolo and Steve Hicks next on row 8. Yusuf Bin Sahel and Adam Brown, who both arguably should be starting this race a lot higher than they are doing. They're on row 9 with work to do. Tim Penny and Harrison Chapman complete the top 20. And a flurry of intermediates. Dan Gamblin and John Adey on row 11. David Whitehouse and Craig Brown on row number 12. Bringing up the rear of the field, Eric Mignon and Matt Hale on row 13, ahead of James Fremont and Tom Holland. Row 14, Simon Delamere completes the 29-strong field. So, if Matt Kendall wins this race, he would move, by our early calculations, and I should stress these are very early calculations, to 1,739 points. If we can see from Sam Sanders a score somewhere in the region at the end of the round of 220 points, he can still have a chance of winning the championship. Well, basically, Sam Sanders has got to go out and win this one, I feel, to keep things ticking along. But we'll keep you up to date with all of that Matt Kendall, of course, has got to go out and get a solid enough score to knock out one of his lower GT3 scores from earlier in the season. A lot could happen across the course of the next 40 minutes. Hold on to your hats, everybody. Green flag is in the air again here at Interlagos, and that's a very good start from Matt Kendall. Went a bit quicker with that one than we saw in race number 1. Good start as well for Summers. There's a spin in the back, as I think it's one of the intermediates has gone round. It might be Yusuf. No, it's not going to be Yusuf Bintahail. It might be João Castro, or it is João Castro who's gone round at turn 1. So problems there for the 210 immediately into turn 1. Sam Spinell on the attack down the inside of Henry Mackenzie Friedman for 3rd place, and he's got it. Something tells me, Howard, this one's going to be a bit more boisterous than the first race. We've already seen some dramas out there. I think Steve Hicks was also involved in whatever happened there at turn 1, because the number 4 has dropped to 28th position.
Yeah, agreed. He's got a bit of work to do. In fact, he's right at the back field now, is Steve Hicks. So, not quite sure what happened there, because I think that's 2 incidents he's had, or perhaps damage off of the first one. Side by side here now. This is going to be an interesting one to watch. It's Adam Brown making up positions through the field. Up to 10th place already here. This is his big opportunity to get back into the sharp end, back into the thick of it. As he's into the top 10 already here. Won't be wanting to hang about, but obviously as he moves on up the order, each person is going to be closer and closer to his relative pace and be that much harder to pass. Battle here between Yusuf Bintahail and the very successful in race 1 Matthew Shawnee. Delighted to be showing a bit more of in this race, because he had a successful but seemingly quiet run to 14th place in that first race, and he's had a decent start here, leading the rookie class in the early stages, and up to 15th, although behind him Harrison Chapman. Oh, who was that going off to? That was Tim Penny.
Oh, and damage on the front of the Nomad Sim Racing Porsche. I wonder if there's radiator damage as well. I didn't quite see what happened there to Tim Penny, but either way, well, let's have a look at it again. This was on board, going down into the Cida del Lago, and oh, there was contact with Harrison Chapman, and a big hit into the wall for Tim Penny. Side by side with Chapman in the 303 Ferrari there. And it has a bit of a strange one, to be honest, between those two drivers. But with the extent of the damage on the front of the car, Tim Penny's going to have to come in now. He will have the fast repair that he can use. The trouble is, this is way too early in the race to fill up and then be able to get all the way to the checkered flag.
Yes, indeed. Just see if we can... Oh, no, that's after the incident what happened for Castro. Pick up at the start here.
So down the inside. Well, something happened to Steve Hicks on the outside there, and I think it was simply a case of just too many drivers all trying to share the same piece of real estate. And unfortunately for João Castro, he was the one at the front of that bunching and got turned round. Keep your comments coming in as well. Good evening to Kirith, who's joining in the fun, and Chris McGill as well, who's cheering on Finley Brunton. Dunkersaw as well is also in the house. If you're enjoying the stream, do leave a like, click that thumbs up button, and if you're new around here as well, click that subscribe button as well. It really, really does help us out. No help needed at the moment though for your race leader. Matt Kendall is looking pretty good at the moment at the front of this field. Charlie Summers there still in 2nd place, quite happy to just tour around at the moment and tick these laps off and perhaps wait for some opportunities later on in the race. Sam Spinell having a really good night here at Interlagos, Howard. We've not seen Sam compete for a while. I want to say we haven't seen him since Daytona, if I'm mistaken. I do apologise on that one. But this has definitely been the strongest showing that we've seen from Sam Spinell so far this season.
Yes, indeed. I think you're in the right ballpark for when we last saw him. And yeah, having a really good run here, and crucially, can Spinell and Friedman stay in touch with the top two? I think they've got their work cut out to do it, but yeah, going to be interesting to see. Or can they at least keep them honest, stay as a threat? You know, if a pit stop goes a little bit awry, that's going to be the key thing there. As what's happened to Adam Brown?
Big crash on the run down to INTERLAGOS. Adam Brown is out of this race and out of the round. That is a mighty impact. Adam toes to pit lane. Now let's have a look at what happened. It was very close. I think it was Michael Weddelin. Oh, I think he just got turned. I think there was maybe a little bit of bump drafting there. Hits into the wall. Very good driving from Yusuf Interhale to avoid all of that, but that will be Adam Brown out of this race. It's tough to see from that angle, but I wonder if there was just a little bit of bump drafting and the car behind almost pushing on the quarter of Adam Brown's 116 that turned him round. That's a real shame for Adam. It's not been his season. He's shown some good pace. Hopefully we'll be back for more at a future point. But particularly tonight, you know, second GT3 round in a row where he's qualified really well. Had tremendous pace that we saw in that first race, but just not had the cards fall his way to convert it into a big haul points.
Yeah, your heart goes out to him on that one. That was a bit of a freak incident, quite frankly. Yeah. Everyone was running very close, but I'm trying to work out exactly who it involved. Was it Weddle and Air that he was with at that point?
There were more than one Rethink Racing runner involved in all that. I think James de Havilland might have been in that mix as well. We're looking at now with the black bodywork and the blue wheels. James de Havilland has lost positions in this race so far. He's down 6 from where he started. On the move so far in this race, biggest gainer, Craig Brown, P16 at the moment. That's a gain of 8 positions. As we have a look at the battle immediately ahead of Craig Brown, between the top two rookies, Harrison Chapman and Matthew Shawnee. And it's the idea of these classes, Premier, Clubman, Intermediate and Rookie, to give everybody something to race for. Something tells me that when we next have one of these competitions, Harrison Chapman and Matthew Shawnee are going to be stepping up to the intermediate class. And it's very likely that those at the top of the intermediate class, your Finley Bruntons, your Joao Castros, your Matthew Davis competitors, they'll be moving up to Clubman. This has been an impressive run from these two, the shine-outs of the rookie competition across the course of this season, and I think we're going to be treated to a good old ding-dong between the two of them here. Craig Brown, unfortunately, has lost a few positions on that last lap and is losing out there to Joao Castro. So Joao Castro coming back through the field. That's him returning into the top 20. Something must have happened to Craig there, because he just put in a 1 minute 39.32.
Indeed. So we've got a few pit calls have come in. Not one too shocking. Steve Hicks went to the pit lane very early.
Yep.
James Fremont as well has gone to the pits. Obviously we saw what happened to Adam Brown. Tim Penny has just pitted though. Here he is emerging from the pits. So we saw him off, obviously having a bit of a dramatic moment as well down at INTERLAGOS, but it clearly the damage wasn't. I'm intrigued by that, because the damage wasn't bad enough that he immediately boxed. But has he been sort of nursing something for a few laps and gone, as soon as I reckon I can make it, I box?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely spot on there, mate, because we saw from race 1 that that drivers were able to do somewhere in the range of 32 minutes on a tank of fuel. Now, to be clear, the max capacity of the tanks for everybody out there are capped. It's the same cap as you get in the public lobbies in the Sprint Series. So it's not the full GT3 fuel tank as you would in an endurance race. But good work there by Tim Penny to at least just lower the losses. He still would have lost time with that damage, but at least he's only had to come into the pits once in this race instead of the likely 2 that we'll see for Steve Hicks. John Adey we saw in the pits there, Howard. I wasn't entirely certain, but there may have been a bit of damage on the front of John Adey's 221 Ferrari.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Although it did look fairly minor. I see nothing, just quickly looking through the race events tracker that suggests that there was anything too dramatic to cause that. Frankly, these drivers have been running together so closely that it could simply have been a little bit of a love tap somewhere in one of the corners with a fellow competitor. Jack Air, Michael Weddle here in 10th and 9th respectively, a bit of an odd order for me to say it. This gap at the front really close between Kendall and Summers, but Summers
going for the lead.
This is the first time he's looking for it. He's going for it for the first time. I was about to say holding station. He definitely wasn't looking to stick with that strategy, because that was a textbook move into Senna S. And I think part of the reason why Kendall somewhat allowed that to happen, Andrew, is that's the first time that Summers has really shown his nose. He's been that close on previous laps and not really gone for it, but this time around, the switch happened, and that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Is that, I don't know, there wasn't too much of a battle there. There wasn't too much of a defence from Kendall. Are they battling over who gets to fuel save the most?
Maybe so, maybe so. That we saw some good work from other drivers who sat in the tow in race number 1. Easy battle for 3rd place. Sam Spinale and Henry Mackenzie Friedman. Now, how do these drivers respond to what we've just said? I tell you what, Charlie Summers is driving away from Matt Kendall here. Has already got up to 0.5. The Ferrari is clearly the weapon of choice here this evening, just judging from the tower on the left-hand side of just how many drivers have gone with Ferrari. Now, if you're a rookie, you have to go with the Ferrari. The thinking behind that being that it's almost the by default introductory GT3 car to those who've just joined the iRacing service. There's a D license public series that is a spec series just for the Ferrari GT3, and then if you're in intermediate, you have the choice between that and the BMW, and then when you're in CLUB100 Premier, you can choose whatever you want, with the exception of the Acura NSX, which of course came in halfway through this CLUB100 iRacing Championship season, so isn't part of the competitions yet. But, well, this is going to be interesting now for Matt Kendall to see how he deals with this. He seems to have stemmed the flow, Howard. The gap had gone up to about 0.5, 0.6 of a second, and now it's come back. Well, I say that, it's now shot back out to 0.6 again. He's
good through this sort of mid part of the lap, I think. I feel bad. I didn't want to take away from his move, by the way. I'm saying that Kendall didn't mount too much of a defence. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that particular part of the lap now, Kendall's pulled it back. So it is interesting. I can't tell who has the pace advantage. I do wonder if they're just trying to, as we said in the previous race, sort of win it at the slowest speed possible.
Yeah.
You know, tyres still a concern. It's 37 degrees Celsius, the track temperature at the moment.
Just noting for some of these points as well, that in terms of championship, the important thing right now for Matt Kendall, he's still outscoring all of his championship rivals. Charlie Summers came in mid-season, so in terms of how the maths are falling, he is no threat to wrestling that free CLUB100 SP40 race meeting away from Matt Kendall at the moment, and the iRacing dollars as well. It's a fair amount of iRacing dollars on the line for those performing well in all of the classes. Here's a move. This is a bold one. This is Henry Mackenzie Friedman trying to get through past Sam Spinale for 3rd place. got it on the apex, but Sam Spinell's going to come back here as they run up the hill now. It'll be advantage to Sam Spinell for the next right-hander. And good stuff indeed. Back into third place. Ollie Davis throws it in as well. Ollie Davis trying to take fourth place, where this is potentially an opportunity for Sam Sanders to gain out of this, but danger at the same time as well, as everybody else is fighting around him. There is Sam Sanders in the FFR Porsche trying to go around the outside of Ollie Davis for fifth place. This will be frustrating, I think, for Sam Sanders, because I think on paper he probably has just a little bit more pace than those around him, but it's not the kind of pace delta that is going to mean that he can just breeze on past and take these positions. I think for Sam Sanders, he's going to have to do it in the pit stops.
Yeah, it's just not quite enough of a pace advantage, is it, on this one?
The other point on the strategy as well that everybody will have learnt from race number one, because it's dry, there isn't really that much field spread. Right now, I think that takes the undercut away, the major undercut, like we saw Michael Weddle try and do in race number one, because it's going to drop you at the moment down into that region of Eric Mignon, Matt Hale, Tom Holland, if you're Sam Sanders and you make a pit stop now. So you're just going to have to sit there and wait, I think, for the course of the next, what do you say, 10 to 15 minutes.
We're going to see a lot less spread on the pit strategy, the crucial pit lap than we saw in the first race. Not least, everyone will have, if they're using, some kind of setup like a crew chief with auto fuel, whatever it would be, they'll maybe have been able to fine tune the margin for error on that. And yeah, I think the first race demonstrated that, being the first to pit is not really paying off this evening. And I agree, mate. The way that the field is arranged around the track at the moment really accentuates that, if anything. So I think we might see everyone hanging on a bit longer before committing. We'll wait and see.
Indeed. This is Matthew Davis on your screen, currently running in 11th place, just behind Jack Eyre there in the number 5 Rethink Racing McLaren. It's not actually a bad spot to be right now, if you ask me. We know that Jack Eyre's got pace. We know he's got the ability as well to race through the field, because if you treat this event almost like a two-stage race, Jack Eyre has gone all the way from P29 back up into the top 10. Bit of a gap to catch up to this group here. I think if you're Matthew Davis, just sit there behind Jack Eyre. It might be your best opportunity to catch up to your title rival Finley Brunton. This was the other Davis. This was Ollie down the inside. Ollie Davis up to fourth place there.
Yeah, nice tidy move. Waiting to see if there was anything of a counter-attack into INTERLAGOS, but there wasn't. So yeah, nice move from Davis. And now it's Clubman positions 1 and 2 in overall positions 3 and 4. Ignore the fact that the wing mirrors are red on Spinell's car. Yeah, they are the first and second within Clubman's.
Oh yes, that'll be a livery warning. Unless it's trading paints that has had a wobble again.
That might be
do some
first time. That might be the first time I've mentioned an illegal livery this season before you have. You've been very hot on it this year.
Hey, it's not got SpongeBob on it, so I'll semi allow it. It's a papaya McLaren. Can't go wrong with that. 19 minutes of this race to go. I've gone 21 of it to go. Charlie Summers is your race leader ahead of Matt Kendall. This is the highest proper battle. The top two, I think, are just into fuel conservation and pace conservation mode at the moment. They've got a 5.4 second lead, there or thereabouts, over Sam Spinell. Sam Spinell with the difficult job that Sam Sanders had in the previous race of trying to chase that top 2, or what was in race 1, a top 3 pack down. Charlie Summers breaking away from Matt Kendall again. I think that is one potential area of concern for Matt Kendall in this race, that
Charlie Summers has clearly got some really good pace in this second race. Whether he's just altered his driving style a little bit, or the track temperatures, the tyre temperatures out there have gone in the favour of the number 35. Matt Kendall's got to keep that toe, because if he loses that toe, I would be a little bit concerned that despite his consistency and his pace against a 5 or 6 car group, that he's going to be reeled in here. Having said that, Ollie Davis having a little look down the inside of Sam Spinell and arguably delaying things a little there through the infield is good news for Matt Kendall. That was a 133.7 for Summers last time around, 134 for Kendall. Yeah, this battling is losing all of these drivers time, and Sam Sanders knows it, and Sam Sanders knows that he's got to get on with this. He's got to get forward. If he's going to keep this title bid alive, he's got to do it with overtakes on track and a clever bit of strategy. He can't afford to sit there in 6th with Matt Kendall getting a huge score of what would at the moment be 231 points from a possible 240. Now, yes, Kendall wouldn't get the full complement of that added on top of what he's got at the moment. It would effectively be a gain of around 60 or 70 points over Kendall's previous worst GT3 score. These are desperate times in a way for Sam Sanders. He wants to win this championship, and all the while Sam Spinell and Ollie Davis are having a right old ding-dong at the front of this field. Got to say, Howard, the infield, the Ferraris look really strong.
Yeah. No, the Ferraris clearly have the legs in the mid-sector. But that's what's nice about this track, as I said earlier, right? It kind of redresses the balance at the point they're entering now, entering into the long straight. So it all balances out. Sure enough, we see fewer pit callers at this point in the race than we had done in the previous race. So stand by the comments around the spread of pit lap being reduced for this second race. Going to have quite a few battles on the pit lane, I think, with this one.
So we're into the second half of this one, and at the moment, a bit of status quo out there, particularly in the top 10. Sam Dimolo has gone to pit lane, Howard. Sam trying to do something a little bit different in the BMW 271. Standard looking stop there. Simon Delamere is in as well. His use of Binta Hale making his way through past Eric Mignon. That is for 19th place. Just looking a little bit further up the order, Howard, I'll tell you who else is having a good race out there. It's gone a little bit under the radar, and there's only 2 drivers to go with the BMW tonight. Dan Gamblin is currently running 3rd in intermediate. That's good to see.
Yeah, there's a lot of love for the BMW tonight. I'm not sure if people have struggled a bit with it. But yeah, running well at the moment, 3rd in class. And shout out as well to this man here. Had one race to just get himself back into it, and now he's running 4th in class. Is David Whitehouse, and that's on merit as well, everybody, because we haven't really had him take to the pit lane yet. So yeah, really good racing so far from David Whitehouse. And to say that, Dan Gamblin ahead of him goes into the pits. I note that we've just had 2 relatively early pit calls from both of the BMW drivers.
Yeah.
So is that maybe something that they're suffering with there in the BMW? But yeah, great drive so far from David Whitehouse. Takes himself up into a pit lane position, and that was a change of tyres, was it, for Dan Gamblin?
No, it was Dan had gone a little bit too far forward in the box.
Okay.
We've all done that, especially when you get on the concrete apron of the pit lane. We'll have only lost a couple of seconds in that, but it could be a crucial couple of seconds. Ollie Davis here in 4th place. Start of the night. Ollie's situation in points
He had a little bit to gain. He was in 8th place overall. He's definitely keeping himself in play. He's outscored Jack Eyre tonight. He's outscored James de Havilland. He's of course outscored Josh Mitchell, because Josh Mitchell isn't racing with us here this evening. So Ollie Davis, an outside chance, you would say, for winning in the clubman category come the end of round 11, but a chance very much still there for another one of the CBR drivers from the British Pro Kart Endurance Championship World. Sam Sanders, I think, will be getting somewhat annoyed, Howard, because he's able to get into a position where at least Henry Mackenzie Friedman has to move over and defend a little bit, but he just can't seem to make any positional progress right now in this pack, and he needs to.
Yeah, everyone's so evenly matched in this pack. He's just not able to get the advantage at any particular moment. He's got to pin his hopes really on the pit stop. I mean, just so I understand it, and I don't mean to immediately give you a maths exam mid-race, but if he can get to the front of this pack and get 3rd, and Kendall stays in 2nd, does that at least keep it, like, acceptable?
Marginal, I think, in terms of how it may come down to how the attendance bonus points are working, because that is the thing for Matt Kendall tonight. He is going to gain 30 points. Well, he's already has gained 30 bonus points for attending and competing in every single race. In fact, I'm going to correct myself there. It's just attendance that's needed, i.e. you've effectively signed on by joining into the free practice. That was a rule that was changed midway through the season, because we did have a couple of force majeures where drivers' systems had problems that meant they could sign on, they were available, they attended, but they couldn't race. As Davis down the inside of Spinell, but goes a little bit too deep, gets into the marbles, and that's going to lose him 3rd place and possibly 4th as well. Friedman on the grass. This is an opportunity now for Sam Sanders. He's got to find a way through, but he's out wide now as they run through Curva del Sol side by side with Henry Mackenzie Friedman for 5th place. This could get a little bit tasty into Desida del Lago, and that's beautifully done by Sam Sanders, just to slip the Porsche in there and gain 1. Now needs to get his head down and find a way through past Davis and Spinell, and that may be through the pit stops. He runs wide though. I've seen that a lot from the Porsche tonight. The front end of the Porsche doesn't seem to be giving the kind of bite in through those medium speed corners that Sam wants, and with that moment running wide, all of his hard work that he just did in the first sector has gone away again.
So well read by him, that situation in many ways, but yeah, unfortunately back to where he started, in exactly the same order actually, this whole pack, after Ollie Davis tried to move on Spinell in turn 1 and all of that ensued thereafter. They're actually going to finish this lap in exactly the same order, but it's a good battle, but in terms of championship, there's got to be a bit more than this from Sam Sanders in the last quarter, 3rd of the race, shall we say. I should say as well, on GT3 sort of standings, Matt Kendall's in the pound seats there as well, right?
Yeah, definitely that Matt Kendall is looking like being the highest scoring driver through these GT3 races. Into the pits has come James de Havilland. He's had I wouldn't say a bad race, just a slightly off-colour one in this second 40-minute challenge. He's going to rejoin just behind Yusuf bin Sahel after his fuel stop in P16, and maybe for James that's thinking, do you know what? It's not going to be the biggest of scores tonight, but it just needs to be a solid score. And we saw what happened at the end of race number 1 in that 10th, 11th, 12th region of the field, and maybe James de Havilland is thinking, you know, I'm already getting rid of his worst score, by the way, is round 3. So it's the Snetterton round where he got 102 points on the board from a possible 240. He's comfortably going to get rid of that score and put some more on his tally. And he's been better in the slower machinery as well as James de Havilland. So he'll be looking at that final round in the MX-5s at Donington Park with a bit of glee, I would feel.
Absolutely. Exactly half of the field has pitted at this point. We're looking at the person who's the highest placed pitter, from Michael Weddle. As I say that, the second half of the field starts to pit in as well. Jack Eyre and the two leaders in rookies as well, Matthew Shawnee and Harrison Chapman, have all gone into the pit entry.
Really good stuff from Matthew Shawnee so far tonight. It's all about bringing it home now. 10 minutes. He's probably not going to win the championship tonight because, again, the mathematical side of it, you never know. A rookie could get an even bigger score when we have the finale at Donington Park in a couple of weeks' time. If you do want to be on the grid for that, entries are still open. If you want a little bit of a final end-of-season fling, eligibility remains as it has throughout the course of the season. If you've got a racing history within Club 100 or the BUKC, if you're a current driver in the British Pro Kart Endurance Championship, and if you are a current holder of a Motorsport UK esports license, you are eligible to potentially make moves like that. Down the inside went Henry Mackenzie Friedman on Ollie Davis. That was a bold one for 4th place. Sam Sanders tried to take advantage of that, but has again got to wait, got to be patient. He'd feel for his moment, and this could be one because Sam Spinell's run wide out of Young Tao and has lost one position to Friedman already and could lose more as into the pits comes the race leader Charlie Summers. Here comes Ollie Davis down the inside of Sam Spinell, who's going to have dirty tyres as well. Sam Sanders goes to the pits. That could be quite a key move. Into the pits as well as come Andy Alston, who's been quietly getting on with his work so far tonight. There's your new race leader, Matt Kendall. So he's saved enough fuel, Howard, sitting behind Charlie Summers to at least do one lap more.
Yeah, game on. Split of strategy between the top two to make things interesting. We thought they were sort of controlling the pace, but there is a split in strategy here. Now, we've not seen the undercut pay off, really, this time around, but Matt Kendall hasn't got any friends to work with here. So it is really just about raw out-and-out pace here and how well he can nail his pit stop, presumably, in half a lap's time.
32 minutes and 20 seconds of this one gone. We are right in the midst of the pit window. Just looking further down the order. Has there been a problem for Droud Castro? Or has he just gone in to serve his pit stop? So he's 210 jumping around the order a little bit. The crucial thing at the moment, though, for Charlie Summers, is at least he's come out in a bit of clean air. He's not got any battling clubmans and intermediates directly ahead of him, so he can just, in a way, keep doing what he's been doing for the past 12 laps or so.
Yeah, indeed. He's judged that run really well. Came out into some nice clean air there. And see him on the driver track. The driver in 7th place is your former race leader. So he'll be coming up the hill, and everybody else who hasn't pitted pits as well. Sam Spinell, Ollie Davis, Henry Mackenzie Friedman, Matthew Davis pits as the intermediate leader. Finley Brunton as well from 2nd in that class. And another shout out again, surely he's going to pit this lap for David Whitehouse, but will pit from 3rd in class. Really good improvement throughout the course of the round from him on his return. Club 100 iRACING action. Here we go, though. It's going to be close between the top two coming out of the pits. Matt Kendall is going to emerge ahead.
And takes the lead of the race. Matt Kendall is 6 1/4 minutes away from doing the clean sweep and getting both wins tonight, which could be a big, big moment in potentially taking the championship tonight. Sam Sanders has not given it up, though. Sam Sanders has made the undercut work. So he's seen what happened in race 1 to himself, isolated at the front of the chase group. This time, he's played that same trick on everybody else and got himself up to 4th place. Henry Mackenzie Friedman's having to deal with Michael Weddle and Andy Alston. Michael Weddle has made the major undercut work this time and is looking to get 8th place here past Andy Alston. Now, the big question for Sam Sanders, has he got enough pace? Now he's still got dirty air behind Sam Spinell's McLaren, but arguably not as much dirty air as before the pit stops with only one car ahead of him. It really did look like the front end of the Porsche didn't want to get into the corners in that first stint. Has Sam Sanders got enough pace now to get that track position? We'll do all the maths after the races, so keep an eye on the DDMM socials to see if there are any announcements for the championship in Premier being decided. It's still going to be going on for the likes of the Clubmans, the Intermediates and the Rookies. It does pretty much feel now that it's down to Sam Sanders and only Sam Sanders who's going to be having a chance of taking the title battle to the last round at Donington Park in the MX-5s. 4.5 minutes to go. Curious night again for Henry Mackenzie Friedman. You know, he's stuck with the Lamborghini throughout the course of the season, Howard, which in Kieran Harrison's hands we've seen be a very strong package, but unfortunately for Henry, it's just not quite fallen into his hands when it's been his turn in these GT3s.
No, it hasn't. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's had a good run. I think he came into tonight third in the GT3 standings. But yeah, he's just not been able to quite make it work, has he? In a car that, yeah, as you say, can be very peaky. It can be very peaky, and as in peaky and trophy, is I think the issue. So yeah, I mean, he's done good things with it, but yeah, I wonder if yeah, it's one of those ones where it would have been interesting to see how it fared in a different piece of GT3 machinery.
I tell you who else has done a brilliant job in that pit sequence, Howard. Matthew Davis. Matthew Davis, who was second in class before those pit stops, now not only finds himself in the lead of intermediate, but in the lead by 5 overall positions. This is a big run for Matthew Davis, and again, I don't think he's going to have it all sewn up versus Finley Brunton tonight, but that 111-point score from round 3 for Matthew is well and truly going out the window here tonight. At the moment, I think he would be looking at a tally. One moment's viewer of, yeah, he's going to put about 60 points onto his counting score from the start of the night, which is a very useful turnaround indeed. In comparison, Finley Brunton at the moment for this race night is on for a 135, and his worst GT3 score so far this season is a 123. So Matthew Davies is putting, what did we say, 50 points or there or thereabouts, sorry, 60 points on his counting tally from the start of the night, whereas Finley Brunton's putting about 12 on. Not decisive yet, but I tell you what, if you'd offered Matthew Davies at the start of the night a near 50-point swing in his favour over Finley Brunton, he would have snatched your hands off.
Yeah, absolutely. It's looking good. Looking good for him there. Played it brilliant through the pit stops, as you say. We've got, by my maths, this lap and one more to go.
Yep.
And we've got a battle for the lead on our hands here.
We have indeed.
It's sort of been building up all evening long, hasn't it? But both of these drivers have led the race between Matt Kendall and Charlie Summers, but great pit stop strategy from Matt Kendall means that he currently is sat in the pound seat for the victory. But this is brilliant stuff that we're going to get in the closing moments here.
Matt Kendall, I think, just trying to control the pace of Charlie Summers there through sector number 2, because he knows that this is where the Ferrari is strong. The run out of Young Chow is going to be... Oh, as off goes Summers! Oh, big hit into the wall! And Summers now, was that a simple loss of control? Was that an equipment failure? Well, he's got going again now. That was a very strange incident for Charlie Summers, and it's put him out of contention of winning this race and winning the round. The question is, how much damage is on his number 35 Ferrari? Is he going to have to come into the pits? Can he limp it round? for one more lap at such a speed that he's not going to get caught. But no, he's in. He's in. So he's going to lose second place. Sam Sanders could have an opportunity here. All of a sudden, he's in third place. If he can find a way through past Sam Spinell for second place, these could be crucial points in the championship to take the title fight onto Donington Park. Sam Sanders has not had anything his way so far tonight. Here he now has an opportunity to somehow take a P2 in this second race. Matt Kendall's away and gone. Matt Kendall is at long last going to win a round outright and become the fourth driver to do so in this season. The question is he going to win the championship tonight? Is Sam Sanders going to be able to find a way through past Sam Spinell with half a lap remaining? We're up on time. We've gone past 40 minutes. We're on lap number 26. Sam Spinell trying to win in the clubman category here tonight as well. He's not a championship contender. He's a very, very, very shrewd racing driver indeed at being able to hold on and close a race out. Sam Sanders is only going to have probably two more opportunities to get through here. One of them coming up here at Young Cow, and then the run to the line. Sam Sanders is going to try and do it with power from the Porsche, but has run wide. Matt Kendall is a double race winner at Interlagos and wins round 10 of the CLUB100 iRacing Championship. And that may well be the championship as well, because Sam Sanders is not going to take second place here. If anything, he's going to lose third, because here comes Ollie Davis. It's a run to the line. Spinell second. Sanders in third. Ollie Davis in fourth. There was a switch at the end between the two Davis brothers as Matthew comes home in a very useful fifth. Friedman sixth. Weddell, Alston, de Havilland and Bincer Hale all in the top 10. Matthew Shawnee has come over the line and has won in race and on the race night as well in rookie, and has more than got his title bid back on track. But what a dramatic end. In the first race, it was Adam Brown. Let's have another look at it again. This was what happened to Charlie Summers. So he's going to push it, get some curb. And oh, the back end just snaps away. That is a very, very strange incident, Howard.
Yeah, is that tyres letting go? It's so, because it you know, I haven't got, I don't have as much time as I used to drive the GT3s at iRacing, much as I'd love to. But that looked, how do I put this in a way that sounds fair? That looked Ferrari tyre fatigue-ish.
Yes.
If that is a term. That is the way in which I would expect a Ferrari, the Ferrari to let go, if that makes any sense at all.
I'll just notice, well, he had a very tight line, almost inside where most of the rubber has been laid down. I mean, there'll be a proper head-scratching post-mortem on that one for Charlie Summers. As I say, in the first race, it was Adam Brown who was very unfortunate to lose a P2. This time it was Charlie Summers. He did get over the line, so he did go in, get his fast repair done, and then get back out again to come home in 13th place. Let's have a look at the provisional result from that second race. Matt Kendall, well, the big question at the start of the night was, could he win a round? He's been second, he's been third, he's always been there or thereabouts, but he has taken the win here in this one, and he took race one as well. Full complement of 240 points, and well, the record books will make it look like it was very easy for Matt Kendall with a win by nearly 13 seconds over Sam Spinell. Sam Sanders in third. We'll do the calculations and wait and see as to whether that is a title-winning position or not for Matt Kendall. Sam Sanders, a tough night tonight, but he's still got a good number of points on the board. And if he does have a chance of winning the title when we get to Donington Park in those MX-5s, he's been pretty useful in the MX-5s in the last few rounds. Ollie Davis, brilliant run. Best of those with a realistic chance of winning the clubman title and the free SP40 drive in that category. P4 there, very useful haul of points. And same for Bro Matthew in 5th place. Will extend his lead in intermediate, leaving Brazil here tonight. Henry Mackenzie Friedman, another testing night in the Lamborghini, but P6 in that one. looking to at least secure some of the iRacing dollars on offer for the top performers in the Premier category. Michael Weddle, strong again, P7 for Michael in that one, ahead of Andy Alston. James de Havilland, quiet race for James de Havilland, but another one very useful in terms of points. Kept himself out of trouble, got another top 10 in the 157 there. Yusuf Bin Sahel was second of the intermediates. Quite useful as well for Matthew Davies, because he held out Finlay Brunton from the top 10 there. Jack Eyre, really frustrating night in a way for Jack Eyre. Good qualifying. His night really compromised at turn 1 of race 1. In the end, he finished 12th in race number 2. Charlie Summers could have won this race, but that strange incident towards the end means he comes home P13. Brilliant night for Matthew Shawnee. After a few testing rounds in the rookie category, he will extend his rookie points lead with a very solid night tonight with P14. Joao Castro had a spin on lap 1, but recovered back into the top 15. Solid points again for Harrison Chapman, who continues to impress with that P16. Sam Dimolo P17, and a top 20 on return for David Whitehouse as well. Really good to see David there in 18th place. Wrapping out that top 20, it was John Adey and Dan Gamblin. Tim Penny had an incident early on, recovered back to P21. James Fremont, Craig Brown, Eric Mignon and Matt Hale all come home in the top 25. Two more finishers in that one were Tom Holland and Simon Delamere to retirements, Steve Hicks and Adam Brown. Well, Howard.
Yeah, so ends a really good round. You know, it probably hasn't won any prizes for like the number of overtakes.
No.
But I think it's been a perfect demonstration that it's the prospect of an overtake as much as anything that can entertain in motorsport. And that is not to take away from the fact that we've had many good overtakes. All I mean is that things, as I say, in race 1, things seem to settle into that rhythm so soon. You know, people have been able to be more decisive with their moves. We've seen less half-baked moves and more, or half-hearted attempts, shall we say, and far more in the way of you know, building up to things. In some cases over lap after lap, working out where you can have a go at your opponent, and then different calls with the pit strategy, which in the end proved crucial for Matt Kendall to bring home a second win of the night. And I think he heard us, didn't he, at the start, Andrew, that he hadn't actually yet won a round. Finally dealing with that. In doing so, has really put himself in the hot seat now for when we go to Donington Park. He's got his eyes on the prize now, and rightfully so.
He has indeed. 2 weeks' time we'll be at Donington Park for the season finale. If you do want to take part, head over to thesimgrid.com and the CLUB100 sim racing page on there. Entries will be open in a few moments' time on the MX5 page for that final round of the season. If you've enjoyed tonight as well from a broadcast perspective, do make sure that you've clicked that like button and that you've hit the subscribe icon as well. Thank you for getting in touch in live chat. Next commentary action this weekend with Alpha Live for the first time in 2025. And it's something a little bit different. Well, in some ways different and not different. Not too different to what we've seen this evening. Myself out in Spain at Motorland Aragon for the GT Winter Series with Adam Weller and the Alpha Live team. Very much looking forward to that. And as I say, 2 weeks' time, we will be back here on this channel for the finale of this CLUB100 iRacing Championship. Thank you very much for joining us here this evening. Hope you enjoyed the rest of your evening, the rest of your week. My name's been Andrew Mather. He's been Howard Mitchell. This has been the DDMM YouTube channel. And we'll see you very, very soon for round 11, the season finale, in 2 weeks' time.